What are some unethical life hacks? NSFW. Get a burner phone and use yourself as a reference on job applications. Got gaps in your work history? Fill them in with fake freelance computer work or innovations. I was a fake reference for someone. The company did call. They got the job and make almost double what I make. What exactly do they ask on those calls? Is it just a confirmation that they worked there, or are there questions specifically about the job they did? Same thing you would ask. Did work for you? Was he a good worker? Anything noteworthy? Most people will talk you up and say nice things. Or, use a place that has recently gone out of business as a reference. My roommate in college did this to prove he had management experience. As soon as he got an actual job in management, he dropped the fake one. But it still got him a job. I don't even have to fake that. With one exception. Every company I worked for prior to the job I have now is out of business. Going back more than 20 years. I've done exactly that. I went to a technical school for welding, and when I got out I found any company paying more than $12 per hour required at least some actual work experience in addition to schooling. I did have a decent resume for my age, but nothing in welding. So I made up a company called Bullshit Fab Shop in a small town on the other side of the state and said I worked there for a year. They didn't call the number I gave, but I was hired. When I was 15, there was this BBQ place by my house. I tried to get my first job there, but they were fully staffed. I showed up every other week wearing an oversized business clothes, my dad's, and asking them if they were hiring, doing interviews now. The GM was super sweet and she told me to use her as a reference and say that I worked at that BBQ place. She gave me all her info and it helped me land my first job. The BBQ place shut down a few months after. If you want to sound sick when calling into your work, lie on your back while hanging your head over the edge of the bed. You will sound congested. If you work in food, say you have the runs, they legally can't let you work. Edit. Lots of people saying food industry doesn't follow the law. Don't be a bitch. Report their asses for this. One time I was sick and didn't want to go to work. I called up and said I had really bad diarrhea and they basically told me they don't care and I still have to come in. I was working at a McDonald's. Anyway, I come in and start working really slowly and keep asking if I can go to the toilet just to make it believable. I called in sick because I was hungover. I was particularly new to being hungover as I was a teen. I had never had an experience of post-booze shits. So I am taking this customer's order and need to fart. I decide to drift out and it was more than just a fart. I shit my pants with some real stinky stuff. Manager apologized and sent me home. I got paid for the shift but never stopped hearing about it from my workmates until I quit. If you work at the Olympics, say you have the Zika virus, no one will suspect you're lying. I think stomach flu is the more professional term, but runs will always have a heightened level of shock factor. Could always up it to explosive diarrhea for maximum impact. Edit. Spelling. Thanks. If you just say the runs, it's the most believable. It's not specific legal terminology, so it's not like you're just naming something specific as a known excuse. And it's not as hyperbolic as explosive diarrhea, so it doesn't sound like you're exaggerating to get out of it. Always go for the most middling excuses. Most paid car parks have a lost ticket button, which is the maximum daily fee. If you feel like parking for a week or so, just press that button instead of paying for the week. For some reason, the ticket machine I park at charges $8 for the day, and $7.50 for a lost ticket. For now, at least. Also, for some reason, I just keep losing my ticket. I'd forget my head if it wasn't screwed on. I swear. My buddy parked in the hourly parking at the airport by accident instead of the long term. He went to leave and they said his total was like $800. He said he couldn't pay it so they wouldn't let him leave. He called his girlfriend. She showed up and parked. Got a ticket. He then gave her money and told her to say she lost her ticket so she only paid the daily max of $30 or whatever. Meanwhile he drove out and used her ticket, which was free since the clock in and clock out were less than a half hour apart. At a crowded bar, and can't get a seat? Go up to the hottest woman there, and hit on her. She'll leave in disgust, and you can take her seat. Imagine if all those stories of creepy guys hitting on women are actually guys just swiping seats. I used to work as an armed security officer. Whenever they'd call me to fill in for someone, I'd tell them I'd been drinking. They can't legally allow me to perform armed work if I'm intoxicated. I assume this could work for other professions as well. I'm sorry, I can't come into work today. I'm drunk. You taste wine, Greg. You taste wine for a living. You wouldn't be able to go to work. You don't actually drink. You swish and spit. Being drunk would fuck with your palate. Definitely works for getting out of duty in the military. If you get called in when you weren't supposed to have duty, sorry Staff Sergeant, I just had a beer. And it's no alcohol for 8 hours prior to start of duty. You gotta find someone else. Note: only works if above 21. Otherwise you're fucked. I still find it ridiculous that in America you are considered mature enough to join the army and fight at 18 but not mature enough to drink alcohol. Edit. I understand that the maturity referred to in terms of drinking age is mostly related to brain development and how alcohol could negatively impact on it. What I'm saying is that the kind of trauma sustained in war would have a much greater impact on someone that age for precisely the same reasons. Technically, the federal drinking age is 18. But the government will only give some sort of funds, substantial I assume, probably for roads or something, to states who set their drinking age to 21. All 50 states do this so they don't lose out on millions. It is for roads actually, the interstate highway system specifically, which they are required to complete upkeep on whether or not they get the funding. Basically, the feds blackmail the states into setting the age to 21. But leave it at 18 themselves to keep the blame off of their actions. Any job where they have strict no drinking rules, this would work. Hell, I am a bartender and can't come in if I've been drinking. Got me out of working on Easter. I am a bartender and can't come in if I've been drinking. Most places I've lived, drinking on the job is a required part of being a bartender. Marry someone rich and pretend to love them. Life hack inspired by my parents. My French teacher once said, girls, marry a rich old dying man for his money, then marry for love. My old boss would go to the hardware store and get paint mixed, assuming you need paint, and would then leave the mixed paint around the store since the paint was mixed and not sold. The store would have to drastically reduce the price of the paint. He would come back a few days later and go to the discount bin and buy the paint he wanted at a huge discount. Guy was a cheap bastard, but it worked. We caught on to people doing that at the store I work at. Now, whenever we mix paint and the customers wander off or forget about it, first thing the next morning, we add a bit of extra pigment to change the color a bit. Why do you not just have people prepay for custom color mixing? 99.9% of them will stop forgetting to take their paint with them. Or do you like to sell them the color botched paint and a new set of paint because there's still enough markup on both to make it worthwhile? tell the truth 99% of the time. Then when you have that credibility, you can lie and people will believe you. Nope. Lie badly 10% of the time. White lies and small stuff that people can't be bothered calling you out on, so instead they just let it slide. If you have a reputation for being a bad liar, then when you need to lie, well, everyone will believe you. Edit. I was being glib about the percentage. Lie as a person normally would, with small adjustments, or when something's embarrassing, just do it badly. Same goes for trying to hide info badly. Y'all are picking it apart to such a degree that you completely miss the point. And yeah, if you do a bad job of this, just like almost anything else, then it's not going to work for you. Who would have guessed? If someone lies badly to me all the time, I don't assume they're just a bad liar. They have no credibility with me and I trust nothing they say. Corollary. Always confess, apologize, take responsibility quickly if the consequences are minor, even if it's not your fault. Ah, gosh, yes, I took the last bagel. I'm sorry. You'll set an unconscious expectation of honesty that will come in handy if you ever need it. I had a few friends who were pizza delivery guys. About 30 minutes before their store closed, we would call in an order for store pickup using a fake name and then never show up for the pizza. Most times, the manager would let our friend take home the unclaimed pizza so that it wouldn't go to waste. Free pizza. Our manager would make us trash the pizza in front of him, which was super fucked up cause most of the kitchen staff worked multiple jobs to feed their families and they could have taken that pizza home. And we wouldn't even lie about it. Customers would honestly just forget to come in sometimes. This is hard to pull off, but it can be done. Be the last person on your plane and act all flustered like you almost missed your flight when you get to the airplane door. If there is a first class seat available, just sit in it. It works sometimes. Other times you get kicked out of first class and have a walk of shame down the coach aisle. Both have happened to me. Tried this on Southwest. Failed at finding first class seats. Ended up in co-pilot seat. The attendants know how many people are supposed to be in first class? Yes, they have passenger lists. Most of the time they greet by Mr. last name. So when a seat is supposed to be empty, they know. Most major airlines don't fuck around with this. I fly frequently for business. There's clothing that allows you to do virtually everything. Want to do graffiti? Wear one of those white paperish overalls. Steal a street sin? Carry a toolbox. Dress like a mechanic and you're good to go. Dress up like a technician. Walk into an office. Tell somebody you were told to take that PC. You can just walk out with it. Be where you don't belong. Hold a clipboard and look stressed. Never underestimate how little people question the uniform. Want to be inside Area 51? All it takes is a lizardman mask and a set of 15th century Illuminati robes. No. You will get killed if you do this. Too many idiots on Reddit that a joke like this is dangerous. You must wear modern day Illuminati robes if you want to enter Area 51. Just tell them you're answering a Craigslist ad for the free anal probe. I remember for a long time I thought they were keeping Mexicans there, kind of like Guantanamo. I was thinking of the completely wrong kind of alien, I guess. Seriously, I'm a security guard for a construction site, and generally if someone is wearing a helmet and reflective vest I just wave them through without questions. Literally anyone could just walk in and steal whatever. I'm sure the same applies for more high value places too. Edit. Do tell the why aren't you doing your job comments. I'm gonna address this here. I'm doing what my supervisor told me to do. Whether or not he's an idiot I'll leave to you to decide. I'm a broke-ass college student who got lucky as shit landing a kick-ass job where I do almost nothing instead of flipping burgers for less money and less benefits. So I'm not gonna challenge him and question things. I don't intend to make this a career, and I really don't protect anything of value anyway. I'm here more for insurance purposes than anything else. And honestly, were something to happen, I can't do shit besides call the cops anyway, just like anyone else. I'm not armed. I'm not allowed to carry a gun, taser, or OC spray on the job. I do my job as I'm told, and get paid for it. I don't seek to make it more complicated than that. I quite like it this way. My BF does this. Sometimes his company sends him to spy on building sites to check something their competitors either stolen or trying to pull off. He just gets the helmet, reflective vest and those steel-looking boots, and suddenly he is invisible to people. This genuinely makes me worry. If he pulls this shit at my site while I'm working, I could actually lose my job. Because even if your job requires checking it, the foremen who show up first with the keys don't even carry them, and then tell you not to worry about it when employees show up without them and everyone treats you like an interloper. Meanwhile you're low-key hiding how stressed you are because you know that if anything does go missing, the first thing your own supervisors will ask is if everyone on the site had proper ID, and boom, you're fired. I don't miss private security one bit. Also, for anyone who has ever gotten annoyed at a security guard for doing their goddamn job, go fuck yourself with a cactus. You can go pretty much anywhere in a hospital if you're carrying delivery food and an invoice. Or scrubs. I work in a hospital and wear scrubs. I rarely carry my badge with me and I'm never challenged. I am a doctor, and have not worn it multiple hospitals in multiple countries, public and private, for literally 4 years. I just do my job, which obviously involves doing some pretty crazy stuff to people. The people don't know me, and often, in the case of ward callback and intern times, the nurses don't know me. Occasionally on nights I was just wearing a polo shirt and trousers. I have often wondered what is stopping a random person coming into the hospital and doing rectal examinations on people. The answer is nothing. We live in a terrifying world. Edit. Great. 500 upvotes on the fact that anyone can abuse patients. I am clearly an asset to my profession. People have, in fact, done this. Wanna shove that big shiner thing up my butt? I'm going to have to see some ID. If someone asks to see your ID, act affronted, yell you're an ID, and stomp off in a huff. This is actually quite true. As long as you act like you belong there, few people will question it. I constantly remind myself of this when my social anxiety kicks in. Have a large, professional-looking camera. Get a bright vest that says press on it. Make an ID. Go to town. I have used this to get free pit access to NASCAR races. I use an old ski pass and load up a bunch of other stuff on the lanyard. Never even get a second look. I met a guy at Talladega who owns his own porta potty business with multiple potties in different colors. He said he just finds out what color the potties are at the track and then puts one in the back of his truck. He just drives up to the pit area, says he is here to deliver a potty, and they let him go through. They have never questioned him. Plot twist. They know what he's doing, but the free porta shitter is worth it. Some folks wearing overalls walked into one of the clubs of the uni I studied at, during a club night, and walked off with a large TV. Nobody questioned them. Hell yeah if you're white. I was at a conference one time in a dress just like everyone else, and I had several people assume I was with the catering service. They thought I was a supervisor, so I guess that's something going for me. If you want to kill someone, invite them to come hunting with you. Tell them to wear camo instead of hunter's orange. After shooting them, call for medical assistance immediately. Beg the EMTs to save them and curse yourself for causing such a terrible accident. My mother came up with this one while working a job that required her to read all hunting accident reports for a 5-state region. Edit. Apparently it wasn't obvious that I was joking. That's what OP gets for skipping the serious tag. If you follow this suggestion, you will be charged, or at the very least investigated, for manslaughter and/or negligent homicide, and you will deserve it. Hello. 911, I was hunting and my friend got shot. I think he's dead. What do I do? Okay, calm down. First you need to make sure he's dead. Ballum. Okay, done. Now what? I don't know what happened. We were out hunting Pokemon. Then he got shot with the gun I was aiming at him with. You'd honestly be surprised how easy it is to shoot something you see moving. That's the main reason people wear hunter's orange in the first place. In most places, that is a highly unnatural color, which is immediately different from a mobile, naturally camouflaged piece of deliciousness. On reflex hunters won't shoot, but on reflex of seeing some small, camouflaged target, and that's how hunting accidents happen. Some idiot thinks orange is too bright. The animals will see me. Out of curiosity, what job would make you read all that? Like, I get 3 states even if you work in a 3-state area, but 5? Seems like overkill lol. I would guess the Dakotas, Wyoming, Montana, and Nebraska or something. Like, there just aren't enough people to generate enough reports in 3 states, so they bumped it up to 5 to find some trends in the statistics. If you work as a server in a restaurant, get a rewards credit card for airline miles or something. Whenever someone pays cash for their meal, run your card instead and pocket the cash. Worked at Olive Garden one summer. Servers would go through the newspapers and get a shit ton of coupons, and whenever someone paid in cash, throw down a coupon and pocket the difference. Sometimes it was a buy an entree get an entree free or a 10-15% off. Stage a fake coup so you can justify arresting killing off political enemies. Live in Australia and about to do your tax return? You don't need to provide receipts for deductible expenses totaling under $300, so make sure you include that protective clothing and laundry expense that coincidentally cost $299. Before I was 21 I would wear my pizza delivery uniform to parties. When the cops showed up I'd simply walk away. Props are recommended. Props are recommended, man. At first I thought you were just like encouraging people to compliment your brilliant idea. Whenever one of the unethical life hacks threads pops up, just copy and paste the top answers from the last one. Whenever one of the unethical life hacks threads pops up, just copy and paste the top answers from the last one. You can use the square metal part of your seat belt buckle to open beers while you're driving. Sir, are you aware you were driving without your seat belt fastened? Yeah, I was trying to open my beer. Gonna need you to step out of the vehicle. When I was on the road, we used to stop at hotels and eat their breakfast for free. Just act like you have a right to it. My buddy used to rent movies from Redbox with a prepaid gift card and just never return it. Set up a lure for Pokemon Go, and then when someone comes around, take their phone. Use the burner app to register fake accounts on things like Uber and Favor. Reap the invite bonus twice, or if you also drive for them, get paid to drive yourself around. Send a letter without stamps by writing the return address as the place you the letter to go to. By returning to sender, it will go to your desired location. If you come to the building I'll liven and play with the puppy in the unit on the second floor long enough, a girl there will make you dinner. Taking advantage of the puppy dinner trick. Tell the girl I'll be there soon. Having trouble keeping yourself from zoning out while listening to someone? Open your dominant hand so that it's flat and raise it like you are in a classroom and have a question. Now bring the hand down across the speaker's face, still keeping the hand open and flat with as much force as you can. This is like a factory reset button for conversations. You're welcome. Need new tires? Rent a car with the same size tires as yours and swap them out. You can use someone else's Costco card to buy stuff if they have a self-checkout. Also, if you're a Muslim wearing a hijab, you can use a Costco card belonging to any other Muslim woman wearing a hijab and nobody will ever question this. Source: my mom and all her friends. You're really gonna have to commit to this one, but if you're about to get in a fight, tell the other person that you are HIV positive. Before we fight, I'm required by law to inform you that I am HIV positive, and then just charge at him with your teeth bared. An easier one is to just strip naked, because no one is going to want to fight a naked person. Another is to shit your pants. Grab some of that shit, and rub it all over your face, while laughing maniacally, and advancing on the guy who wants to fight you 10-1. He won't be so keen to throw down anymore. Learn how to cut cocaine. Buy cocaine. Cut it with some shit. Sell the cut cocaine in 2 parts. Make lots of money. Die to gang-related issues. Can confirm. Just got shot by Grandma in the kitchen. Or G-Ma, as she calls herself now. I sure hate her right now. But damn it, I gotta respect her too. That old gal sure knows how to hustle. From a similar thread 6 months ago, you can use an MT Visa Rewards bank card to make in-flight purchases. The cards cannot be run while in flight, so all transactions are completed once you land, so you can receive any item you want for free. There is no way to track the failed transaction because your information is not tied to the card. My friend is a pilot and I have done this for years. Works on Southwest flights where they don't have assigned seating and can't trace the charges back to your seat name. Very important, sir. This does not work on newer airlines and will probably work even less over time. Most newer aircraft airlines now have in-flight Wi-Fi, which is provided to employees. They will either use a square type reader via phone app, or a small Wi-Fi enabled card reader. Either way, they can now run your card normally while you're airborne. Source: travel a lot. Tried to buy a drink and temporarily overdraft card by 50 cents. Card was declined, and I was sober. Got experience but no degree. As long as you have the proof of experience, portfolio, references, etc., you can, in most cases, spoof your degree on your resume. Don't use an Ivy League school. Pick a state school or even a decent community college, and don't make it over the top just a basic degree in the field you're experienced in. The same goes if you dropped out of high school, or got a GED. Nobody checks these things, so if it asks, simply tick high school diploma or similar on your resume. Put in the high school of the city you grew up in, if different from the city you're living in currently. Edit. Obviously I don't condone lying, but you do what you have to do to survive. In most stores, employees aren't allowed to stop you from shoplifting on their own due to policy. The most they can do is call the police. Make of this what you will. I can confirm this. I worked in retail security before. It surprised me how many people easily bent to the will of a $10 per hour security guard. Every time I'd ask someone to come with me, they do it. Then I'd call the police and they'd wait there, sometimes for half an hour. You can run away. Store security has zero authority to detain you. Damn. I was literally handcuffed by a Fry's Electronics LPO when I was a dumbass 18-year-old who swiped a flash drive in 2008. Really wish I had just had the balls to run. Would have saved me a lot of time and trouble. Man, I was walking by this store and this guy was shoplifting jeans and got tackled by 8 guys on the sidewalk, 2 security and 6 employees. Africans don't play that shit. Depends the state you're in. Mass, you're allowed to detain the person to get your product back. Mind you, most places have a hands-off policy to avoid lawsuits. Not to mention nobody on their minimum wages job wants to deal with a potential physical threat if the shoplifter happens to be committed to their mission. Big box stores sometimes have lax return policies. Buy a pair of windshield wipers. Put them on. Armor all the old ones. Return them and the packaging of the old ones and say they didn't fit. Free windshield wipers. Tip. Never buy something that was clearly opened then sealed and put back on the shelf of a store. Or, find a car just like yours and take his windshield wipers. Then throw away the armor all because it's a shitty product. Want all the chores done around the house but don't want to do them? Have kids. Then doing the chores will feel like a vacation as you look back at a time when these simple few chores were the biggest concern in your life and pray desperately for the sweet release of death. Kids make more mess than they clean up, and they don't usually do a very thorough job of cleaning. They are pretty much slaves. Didn't mow the lawn? No dinner. They'll come around eventually. If you go through the gift shop and the Harry Potter rides at Universal, you can get to the lockers. Then you can just walk out of there like you have already waited in the several-hour line. Stop paying for TV. Buy an Amazon Fire Stick for $40. Download Kodi onto your Android cell phone. Download Apps to Fire. Use Apps to Fire to beam Kodi to your Fire Stick. You need to allow unknown sources in the settings. Launch Kodi. Navigate to add source in the settings. Type Vaden's web page. Go to settings add-ins and get the hub wizard. Go to programs, run the config and presto. You now have every TV show, movie and everything else for the rest of forever and no cost to you. I can't say how well this works anymore. Haven't done it in years. Also, since it's unethical, and likely illegal, in the same way torrenting copyright material is illegal, I'd guess I wouldn't. I found out that it was incredibly easy to figure out my neighbor's passwords for their Wi-Fi. Certain signals were too weak to pick anything up, but I just ran through everything nearby and bingo. Back in the day I used a Linux distro called Backtrack. Read up on a brief tutorial for 5 minutes, and then just let it do its thing for a couple of hours. This doesn't work particularly well with modern encryption. WET was the cryptographic equivalent of wet tissue paper, but WPA, the standard used these days, is very difficult to break. In fact, the only reasonable way to crack it is to use a vulnerability in the WPS nonsense. And even then it's not so much a crack as it is WPS uses numerical passwords of a known length. Just turn it off and you're secure from everyone except the government. Want the really fancy apples but don't want to pay for them? Take off their stickers and get one cheap apple with a sticker. Place all the apples the scale at the self-checkout counter and scan the sticker on the cheap apple. Fancy apples. When you start a new job, tell them you have a pine allergy. When Christmas comes and they start decorating, remind them and then work from home that month. Worked for me for years. in the self-checkout lanes of grocery stores. Take expensive quality deli meats and or anything else you crave and ring them up as heavier weighted fruit items, such as bananas. Also, tear the packaging off a queso beer and scan the can as you lift the packaging invertedly, which will ring up as one single can. We once called those schemes going bananas and case trick respectively. The can one doesn't work. They are not meant to be sold separately, so they don't have individual barcodes. Edit. So after a few responses, this seems to just be the case where I am from. I should have showed that this was my experience. If you plan to kill someone, get in contact with a necrophiliac. They'll love a free corpse and probably take it away for free. Something tells me that getting in touch with a necrophiliac is more dangerous than trying to get away with murder. You can replace a used PS4 controller with a new one by purchasing another one in its original packaging from any retail store and then swap them. After that, you can just take it back to the store along with the receipt and ask for a refund. I believe you have a very low chance of getting caught, and the only way to prove this is by verifying the serial code on the controller. If you're having trouble keeping your house clean, why not buy someone from a human trafficking ring? What if you get a shitty slave? You're better off doing meth and cleaning the house yourself. Go to a computer store and buy a portable HDD with a huge volume. Carefully crack the case and remove it. Replace it with another HDD of a smaller volume. Go back to the store and ask them why it's only reading as the smaller volume. Edit. A lot of people seem concerned with platters. You're not opening the HDD inside, just the portable casing and removing the HDD. Also, I personally do not recommend doing this. If done properly, they should do a return and you get 2 large volume HDDs for the price of one. You really don't think they'd look at what you had done? Most hard drives are encased with seals which are void if opened. Your ass would be busted in no time. If you're ever homeless, the first thing you should buy is a gym membership. Most gyms give unlimited direct access to shower facilities and drinking water. This isn't unethical enough. Make sure to at least shit in the urinals. When you're looking for a job, post an ad for a similar position on Craigslist so you can see the resumes of your competition. You can easily get away with perjury before Congress, if you're a member of Congress. If you're a university student, torrent everything on the university Wi-Fi instead of doing it at home. Use a simple VPN. A long fur dog makes for a damn good mop. You can ring up expensive fruits and veggies as cheaper fruits and veggies at self-checkout lines. Use almost depleted cards to pay for food at Chipotle. They have a speed equals more cash strategy, and sometimes they mail it a bounce card slide just to get you out of the linen and busier days. Hide a toothbrush inside toothpaste boxes when buying them. There's always enough room in them. And now you have a free toothbrush. If you're running low on your laptop warranty, run a program called Firmark. It blocks access to the laptop's vents and causes irreversible damage to the laptop in a few hours. Free laptop. Edit. Last one is total crap that I worded wrong and is totally false. I'll let you down, Reddit. Firmark is just GPU stress testing software. You'd need to run it and manually block the ventilation in order to cook the GPU. And most modern hardware will shut down to prevent thermal damage. It blocks access to the laptop's vents. Amazing what software can do these days. Late for an interview and need to do your hair? Walmart has open package combs. Nobody will notice if a little gel is missing. Either. From my other post, if you need flowers for a late 1-month anniversary present, the cemetery has plenty of them. If you're already late for an interview, why the hell are you in a Walmart? Unless, oh, you're applying at Walmart. Makes sense now. A good way to get rich is to be a gold digger and marrying someone that is already rich, and bonus points if they're no prenup too. In need of some quick cash? Rob a bank. They have more than they need. Ex left you and don't want to see them with anyone else? Murder them. Now you never have to see it happen and can easily get over them. Not close to a wall when walking down the street? Snub your cigarette on a toddler's forehead. You can get some free karma from reposting. If it's a text post, you just have to reply to other people. Use a shotgun so they can't match the bullets to the gun. Saw it off once before you shoot, and once again after. Fire once, and make it count. People assume one loud bang is anything but a gunshot. Wear thick clothes that cover everything. Face, hands, wrists, arms, legs. The gunshot residue and blood splatter will hit you. Completely shave your entire body prior to the murder. Wear a painter's paper suit under your coveralls. Leave the coveralls at the scene. Burn the paper suit. Take up a buzz cut as your style about 3 months before the murder. And make solo hiking your hobby for 2 years prior. Kill them on the eve of your yearly 2-week solo hiking trip. Then fill in the blanks to that part of the plan.